Well, welcome into the 5 of 6 golf show. That is Riku Mukherjee. I'm Tony Altieri. And Rick, I feel like every week we come on the show and talk about like the near misses. Again, we had one last week. You and I were both on Fleetwood. It felt really good, but I hate to admit it, but it's like I know Fleetwood can't close, and it's like I even told you like the text messages like I feel like I've seen this show like 15 times on tour. Felt really good. He played fantastic, and the guy just never got it going on Sunday.
Hey, surprise, surprise. Fleetwood couldn't get the job done on Sunday. And yeah, it sucked, man. What the other thing that really sucked for me was I've literally played Taylor Moore and bet Taylor Moore
I know.
so many times this offseason or
I
this
know.
swing season. And even during the season, he's played such good golf, especially during the swing season. I was literally betting him every single week.
Yeah.
And the guy finally comes through, and I'm not on him, of course. I would much rather have had Spieth win the tournament or Adam Schenk win the tournament. Two guys I were like remotely nowhere near betting or playing in any sort of DraftKings lineup. So just sucks because I've been playing Taylor Moore. I've been on him so much this year, and I just happened to not be on him this week. And I was on Fleetwood, and yeah, couldn't get the job done.
Yeah, it was disappointing from an outright betting perspective. Like, but the close like of the tournament for him to post the number and then watch the guys, Shank, Spieth, and Fleetwood try and catch him as that's kind of hanging out there, the 10 numbers hanging out there, and watch these guys 8-9 under get close. The drama with Shank down the stretch on 18 where he has to hit left-handed from
that was a dope shot. He hit that.
That's what I'm saying. Like it just I keep saying this like. And it's the authenticity of the PGA Tour, just the drama. Like it's impossible to manufacture those things. And I think that's what Liv is trying to like build out of nowhere. And they had a great event. I didn't watch in a minute of it. I watched the highlights on YouTube after the fact. But, Danny Lee winning in a playoff, like, I don't know. I feel like even though the field was arguably better in Liv, when you look at top to bottom, the guys that were playing, you can't manufacture the magic that exists on the PGA Tour.
I agree. I will admit that when Taylor Moore was announced the winner, I did flip over to Liv, and that was the first sort of action that I watched all weekend. So it's a situation where I'm not watching Liv actively during the week or when the PGA tournament is on, but it just happened to run longer than the PGA Tour this week. And once Taylor Moore won, I flipped it over and I watched playoff between Danny Lee and Brendan Steele and Louis Oosthuizen and Carlos Ortiz, a 4-way playoff. So I watched that. Pretty dope finish, pretty cool finish. But I really had no interest in it at all. I wasn't even paying attention to who was winning after the first couple rounds. I just happened to flip over and watch the playoff. But yeah, man, nothing compares to the drama on the PGA Tour. Valspar delivers every year. That finishing stretch. What is it called? The snake pit.
Yep.
Tough finishing stretch. Spieth dumps it in the water on 16. Fights to make bogey on that hole, which was amazing bogey after dunking into the water, and then can't make a birdie or anything down the stretch to tie it. And Adam Schenk. He just had to make a par or on 18 to send it to a playoff, and bad drive, got a really bad breakup against a tree, and then hit it left-handed and couldn't make par from there. So big ups to Taylor Moore. He played great on Sunday. I think he shot 3 under or 4 under on Sunday and got the job done. And first PGA Tour win goes a long way. So congratulations to him.
Yeah, the thing about Moore is he's a perfect example of the kind of guy that we like to target. Like looking at his stats, like the advanced metrics, like he had been a ball striking freak now for a while, and it was really the putter that had kind of flipped here over the course of the last, let's call it 5 or 6 weeks. He had been gaining pretty consistently across the board since Farmers in basically every category. Around the green was a little bit suspect. He had the one weird week where he lost like 9 strokes on approach, which was really out of character for him, but he had been trending in the ball striking categories. And you were just like, man, if that putter shows up, and it did, the kid gains basically 5 strokes putting versus the field. He runs away on Sunday and ends up winning the thing. And it was fantastic. The finish was great. And I think the fact that they had guys like, Justin Thomas at Spieth, where at the top of the Valspar, you had a little bit of cream to make it interesting, because the broadcast of TVs, they love when Spieth's in contention. And to be honest with you, I love it too. I equate it to like Notre Dame football in college. Whether you like Notre Dame or you don't like Notre Dame, when Notre Dame's good, it makes college football more interesting. And I feel like Jordan Spieth occupies that space on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I agree. The tour is definitely better when he's playing well, when Ricky's playing well. These guys that are young stars that flashed, and that, they had their ups and downs throughout their career, but he's definitely an entertaining figure. He draws you in. Like he's talking all the time on the course. He's yelling at Michael Greller every single shot. He's yelling at his ball every single shot. It's entertaining. I mean, it's annoying a little bit, but it's entertaining. Like I'm there to watch it. Sometimes he gets a little too annoying where I'm just like, just shut up and hit the ball.
Yeah.
But it's more. Let's just put it this way. Scotty Scheffler, hottest player on tour right now. I'm more excited to see Jordan Spieth win a tournament than Scotty Scheffler at the moment. Scotty Scheffler is so boring. He's amazing. He's fantastic. He's my pick to win this week, but it's just so boring. He does what he does. He wins the tournament. He smiles. He goes home, plays board games with his wife. He doesn't do anything fun. He doesn't get mad. He never yells at his caddy. He never does anything like that. It's just not he's just not as entertaining as someone like Spieth or Rahm or somebody like Scheffler. Just reminds me of someone like Cantlay. You're like rooting for like what did we call it the other day? Like a drawer, like a shelf of drawers or something like that. Like it's just boring to root for them, but they're so good. It's fun to see good golf. So we appreciate the good golf, but I don't feel like people are tuning in to watch Scotty Scheffler win a tournament. They're tuning in to watch Jordan Spieth win a tournament. They're tuning in to watch Justin Thomas win a tournament. Somebody that like really draws a crowd in.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think, your point is well taken that it's tough to have a stance on Scheffler because he is so like, I don't know, he seems like a really genuine, nice guy.
Yeah.
It's impossible. Yeah, it's impossible for guys like you and me to play him every week on DraftKings or to bet him because his odds are terrible. He's always the most or the second most expensive guy on DraftKings. So I find myself not necessarily rooting against him, but I just don't have a rooting interest. And I think that's the conundrum for a lot of people. And I think the PGA Tour at large, I don't think they know how to sell him, right? Like they don't. I think if this was 25 years ago, no problem. Wholesome white dude, married, all of the labels that you could possibly apply to him 25 years ago, it sells like hotcakes. Nowadays, like good, bad, and different, like our culture, our news cycle, it all enjoys controversy, and he's the most non-controversial guy on tour. So I think that makes it difficult, which is why I think, we all want Rory and Rahm and those guys at the top of the board because it makes it more interesting. It creates more conversation. It allows people like you and me to create more content. So not that I don't like Scotty Scheffler, but I mean, good Lord, let's see somebody else win a freaking tournament.
Well, not this week because he's my one and done pick.
Yeah, no, you and me both. I think we'll be riding that chalk all the way across the finish line at the match play. And I guess that's a good segue into what we should be talking about this week, which is the match play, right? And this is a unique event. I told you before we started, like I didn't do my normal like break down the field. Let's look at all of the metrics and like who lines up the best, because the dynamic of these guys playing 1v1 in this pod system and then advancing and playing guys like it's not your typical stroke play tournament. You're not looking for guys to go on birdie streaks. You're just looking for a guy to beat another guy in his match. And it's a unique dynamic. It's reasons why we've seen guys like, Ian Poulter and Matt Kuchar and Kevin Kisner have a lot of success at these tournaments because the added dynamic of competing against another guy is a whole other level. And so I was like, you know what, let's throw that out. Let's look at how the guys are ranked in the tournament. Let's look at the odds. Let's look at how they're priced on DraftKings, and let's look at the math and see how things break out, and then make some decisions. So me and me, we're just going to go through the pods. We're going to put together like a bracket, and we're going to come up with a winner, you and me collectively tonight. And I think that's probably the best way that we can go about it. We'll talk about our bets and, about like a little bit about DFS strategy, which is completely different this week than normal weeks. Mm-hmm. But I think it's probably the best use of the time is just to break down the bracket.
Yeah, I agree with all that. There is a little bit of strategy. There are a lot of people that build dead lineups right from the beginning for this tournament. So you gotta strategically build your lineup this week. You can't Obviously, you can't build guys that are in the same pod. You can't even build with the same guys that are in the same like pods right next to each other. Like
Yeah, the
there's definitely
quadrants. Yeah.
strategy. Yeah, there's definitely strategy when it comes to building DFS lineups this week. We'll talk about all that as we go along. So yeah, I mean, let's hop into it. Let's talk about these pods, and this bracket's pretty interesting. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll go right into the top left quadrant, as I've labeled it, right? And so we've got pods or groups 1, 16, 8, and 9. The winner of group 1 plays the winner of group 16 in the quarterfinals, in the round of 16. And then the winner of group 8 will play the winner of group 9. So our job here, Rick, is to identify in each one of these pods who is the guy that is most likely to advance. I did a little advanced metrics, like I mentioned. I've listed the odds and the DraftKings scoring, or I should say DraftKings pricing for each one of the guys. And then I did a little calculation. On the odds side, I said, okay, of the other 3 guys who are not the favorite within the pod to win, what is the guy who is the favorites? How are his odds? How do they stack up against the rest of the guys in the pod? So it's the easier way to describe it is in group 1, by the calculation, Scotty Scheffler is 12 times more likely to win his pod and win the tournament than anybody else in his pod. Go down to group 16. Sung J.M. is 2.71% more likely to win his pod than anybody else. So obviously Scheffler, a much bigger favorite to win his pod than Sung J.M.
Yep.
And the same thing with the DraftKings calculation. All I did was say, throw out the guy at the top, throw out Scotty Scheffler in group 1. What's the average DFS or DraftKings pricing of the other 3 guys in his pod to give me a relative strength, right? Like which pods, if I throw out the number 1 seed in each one of these groups, how strong is the relative pod? And you can see that despite Scheffler being the odds-on favorite to win the event and to win his pod, of this quadrant, he has the most difficult quadrant by the DraftKings scoring numbers with Tom Kim, Noren, and Davis. So let's jump into group 1. Like, who do you like in Scheffler's group? Let's call it that. But group 1, obviously you and I are picking Scheffler to win the tournament. We're both going to pick him to advance, but is there a case for anybody else in this pod?
I think the only one you can make a case for is Tom Kim. I don't think Noren or Davis Riley really have a chance here, either against Tom Kim or Scotty Scheffler here. So I think it's going to come down to those two. We saw what Tom Kim did at the President's Cup a few months ago. He was fantastic. I don't think he lost a match, or he maybe lost one match all week at the President's Cup. So we know in this format, he knows what he's doing. He gets fired up. He's young. He knows how to compete 1 against 1. But he just speaking in general terms, he's just not in Scotty Scheffler's class. This guy's won this tournament and finished runner-up at this tournament the last 2 years. Just phenomenal. He's just at the top of his game, coming off of a win at the Players' Championship, coming off of a win. What else did he win? He won something else recently too, right?
Wampo. He won Wampo as well.
Yeah, he won. Yeah, Phoenix Open and Players' Championship. So number 1 player in the world. He's going to be my pick to win this little pod, group 1 here. But I think the only one that could really give him a little bit of run for his money would be Tom Kim. I'm assuming that they're going to be playing on the 3rd day. I don't think they're going to set it up so Scotty and Tom Kim play on Wednesday or Thursday. They're probably going to be playing on Friday to see who advances, because I assume the other 2 will probably be eliminated by then. So yeah, it'll be fun to watch them play on Friday to see who advances. But I think at the end of the day, Scotty Scheffler is going to get the job done. There's a reason why he's a favorite to win the tournament. There's a reason why he's 12 times as likely to win this pod than anyone else. So yeah, of course, Scotty Scheffler here, but Tom Kim is going to give him a little bit of run for his money, but Scotty will get the job done.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's no argument there. The only other guy that, I mean, at least worth mentioning, like Alex Noren has a phenomenal match play resume. I think he's 4-2 overall in playing this tournament. And then Davis Riley is really the wild card. We're not really sure at his highest levels. Riley has the skill to go out and beat anybody, but he's yet to show that. I love Tom Kim. I think it's a shit draw for him. I hate that he's in this with Scotty Scheffler, but I think Scheffler's the easiest one to pencil forward. So group 1, we will pencil Scotty Scheffler as the winner. Dropping down into group 16, you can see here, Sungjae not as heavily favored to win the tournament. Obviously, his odds are only 5 points better than Tommy Fleetwood's. And from a DraftKings pricing perspective, the pod is a little bit weaker Then Scheffler's pod, we have 2 guys in the 6Ks. Is this Sungjae's to win? Or, I mean, again, if I'm looking at this first blush, for me, Fleetwood seems like the easiest checkbox, but this also seems like one where any one of these 4 guys could advance.
I agree. This is a tough pod to predict who's going to come out. I don't think Sungjae is a shoe-in to win this group. He's probably class-wise, he's probably the best player. Skill-wise, he's probably the best player in this group. But we've seen, number 1 seeds get eliminated year in, year out in this tournament. This tournament is so volatile. Ever since they've gone to this pod format, that number 1 seeds don't always advance to the next group, to the round of 16. So who do you like in this group? Because I'm going to say Tommy, but I could see someone making a case for Poston, McNeely. McNeely last year, I think he went undefeated. Like, I don't think he lost a match last year, but he didn't advance to the group of 16. I think he lost in the playoff, but to get through. But McNeely has a good track record here. Poston played phenomenally. He was number 1 in approach last week. I think he just couldn't putt. I don't know, man. This is a tough group for me. I'm just gonna kind of ride the strings of my heart and pick Tommy just because I like him the most out of these guys. But any one of these guys can win.
Yeah, I would say I don't like any of these guys from an outright betting perspective. None of them are going to make my card. But I would say this from a DraftKings perspective and from just like a game theory strategy perspective, like this is a perfect example of a pod where you can get different, right? Like take a Mav McNeely, take a JT Poston, because the reality is whoever you select from this, you're not going to pick them to advance after they play Scotty Scheffler. So if you pick a guy like Mav McNeely and he doesn't win his pod and Sungjae Im goes, Sungjae Im's going to get beat by Scotty Scheffler anyways, right? Yeah. So that's what we're assuming is going to happen. So if you're going to get weird, you're going to get different, and you're going to select a guy, like this is the place to get weird. I agree with you. If I was to look at it first, I'd say Fleetwood would be my guy. He seems like the obvious choice. But I think the other thing that's important about this tournament that we've seen over the years is we either see world-class players win this tournament or guys who are just great putters, like guys who just are lights out putting. And so that makes me want to pick JT Poston. He's probably the best putter of all of the guys in here. Mav McNeely has been putting very, very well, but his withdrawals and battles with injury have me a little bit leery. I always like him more on the West Coast. I would say I would lean Tommy, but if I was to go weird, I could take a flyer on Poston here.
Okay. Yeah. I don't mind that. Just a quick note, if you are going to be starting your DraftKings lineups with Scotty Scheffler, which I am going to be, just make sure you cannot play anyone else in your DraftKings lineup that's in the same group as him or in group 16 either. So you that's just making your bracket, your DraftKings lineup dead. Like what you want to do to build your DraftKings lineup this week is going to be pick one player from each quadrant. Like this entire thing that we're looking at, this screen right here is a quadrant. So pick one player from each quadrant that you think has a chance to make it to the final 4. And then from there, you want to pick your remaining 2 guys as somebody that you're going to obviously pick someone in the same quadrant, but not in the same, like, I don't even know how to quantify this, but not in the same grouping right next to him. So if you pick someone like Scotty Scheffler and you're going to round out your lineup with somebody else in this quadrant, you're going to have to pick somebody from group 8 or group 9.
That's right.
That the farthest that they can meet them would be the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals?
Quarterfinals. You want to maximize the number of rounds that you can get out of this. So to your point, you want to pick 4 guys from each one of these quadrants. So one from each. So from the Scheffler quadrant, the Rahm quadrant, the Rory quadrant, and the Patrick Cantlay quadrant, you want to pick one guy from each one of those quadrants. Yep. And then to your point, whoever you're picking to win, if I'm picking Scotty Scheffler, the second guy from the quadrant that I'm drawing out of here has to be from group 8 or group 9. Right. So that way he has an opportunity to play Scotty in the quarterfinal round.
That's correct. So that's how you want to build your DraftKings lineups this week. You can either go with 3 guys from one half of the bracket and 3 guys from the other half, or if you want, that's kind of the safer way to do it, or you can go 4 guys on one side and 2 guys on the other side. If you're really confident that Scotty Scheffler and Patrick Cantlay are going to make the final 4, you can start off Scotty, Patrick Cantlay, and then just go with 4 guys on the other side of the bracket and fill out your lineup that way. So yeah, interesting strategy this week. A lot of people don't like know. I mean, I think it's gotten a little bit more known.
People understand it better now than when we first started doing it.
But you'll be surprised. People still build dead lineups, and they'll pick like Scotty Scheffler and JT Poston in the same lineup, and that lineup is just automatically dead. Like that's never going to win. So yeah, so that's it. As far as who we want to advance in this group, I'm fine with advancing Poston if you want to go Poston. I think that's a solid choice. He has nice odds here. I like the 180 to 1 odds for Poston, but I'm not going to bet that just because I don't think he's going to get past Scheffler. But I don't really know what the odds are for him to win the group itself, but I wouldn't mind placing a little wager on that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way to look at it from a betting perspective too, is you can bet on each one of the pods. And right. I mean, if you think a pod's wide open, like we're saying 16 is, like JT Poston, if he's 180 to win it, he's probably like, I don't know, 15, 16 to 1 to win his group. Like that's pretty good odds.
That's pretty good odds. All you got to do is beat 3 guys who, I mean, you can line these guys up right next to each other, and any given weekend he could beat them. It's not like they're overwhelmingly better than JT Poston.
That's right. And it's this group, like I said, let's just say for argument's sake, we advance Poston, he goes on and is the winner of group 16. I think the next 2 groups, 8 and 9, are where things get interesting. You can see here that it becomes much closer in terms of their likelihood to win than Scheffler is. And then, of course, the average score, DraftKings price for the other guys who are not the leaders in each one of those groups, much higher than what we saw in Sungjae's group. So these are more competitive pods, right? You've got Hovland's pod, which has Kirk, Kim, and Kuchar, and Morikawa's pod, which has Day, Sevenson, and Perez. Some interesting choices here when we look at Group 8. I want to pick Hovland, but I also understand that Kuchar is absolutely dominated at this event. Like this has been, regardless of how shitty he has been all year, he just in the past has shown up and played very, very well. He is an old man that gives me some pause. And then Chris Kirk's the other one for me that I wonder about, because Kirk has been playing some of the best golf of his career. He has a win here recently. I could see either one of those guys winning, and the wild card of Siwoo Kim. Like he could show up and lose all 3. He could win all 3. I have no idea what to expect with him.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty wide open group. This is probably, if I was going to say a group of death, this could potentially be the group of death. As far as the toughest group to get out of. Like you said, Kuchar has just absolutely phenomenal course history here. I think his match play record at this event is like, I don't even know what it is, but he's like way above 500. So he's definitely
he's like 10, 2 and 1 or something ridiculous like that.
That's unbelievable. I think he's obviously not the same player as he was before, but if I was going to pick someone in this group, I think Hovland's the safe pick here. But I think if we're going to get a little weird, I wouldn't mind going with Chris Kirk. I think Chris Kirk has been playing the best golf of his life right now. Obviously coming off of a win at Honda. I think he can stare down Hovland and beat him. I think he can stare down Kuchar and Kim and beat him. So my pick to win this group is going to be Chris Kirk.
I like it. I'm there with you. I think I can go get behind you with Chris Kirk. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if Hovland wins the whole thing. But again, the fact that he's got to go through Scheffler to get that done, that worries me. I don't think I can get there. So to your point, like if I'm going to get weird, this is another spot where we can get weird. It's the next group where I really don't know where to go. So I like Kirk. I'm with you there. We've picked Scheffler and then 2 guys that no one's picking, which is Poston and Kirk. But the next group is Group 9 with Morikawa, Day, Sevenson, and Perez. Like Day is the sexy pick. A lot of people are picking him to win this thing. I just don't know if he's got enough juice to beat Scheffler. And to be honest with you, the other guy that a lot of people are talking about is Morikawa. They're 2 guys from the same pod. You talk about the group of death. You have 2 guys that are picked by a lot of people to win the whole damn thing, and they're in the first group together.
Yeah, I think Jason Day is going to be very, very chalky on DraftKings this week, because I think at 9,100 with his course history here, he's won this event. In the
multiple
past
times.
Multiple times. Once at this course, once at the previous course, Dove Mountain. So
yep.
I think he's going to be the sexy pick here. Chalk wise, DraftKings, I might want to stay away from him just because I just don't know if I can eat that chalk with Jason Day, especially going up against someone like Colin Morikawa in the same group. So I think from a just a taking DraftKings out of the equation, I think Jason Day would be my pick to win this group. But I think if we're going to factor in chalk and ownership and stuff like that, I think I'd rather roll with Morikawa to win this group. I think he's the safer play. Their odds to win this tournament are very, very close, 28-1, 30-1. So those are some good numbers. So I wouldn't recommend betting both of them. I would recommend just betting one of them if you're going to bet one of them. But I could see one of those guys getting matched up with Scheffler in the quarterfinal for sure.
Yep. Yeah. So let's go ahead and play devil's advocate. I say Scheffler beats Poston pretty easy to advance to the quarterfinal round. And that leaves us Kirk and Morikawa. I mean, I would say Morikawa would be my pick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah. I'd say Scheffler and Morikawa advance to the quarterfinals. And then out of those two guys, I mean, it's hard to pick against Scheffler. You and I are both picking him to win. So I'm assuming we're picking that quarterfinal A out of this group, the top left quadrant, that Scheffler is our guy who advances to the semifinals.
Sounds good to me.
All right, cool. Well, that was pretty easy. There's a lot. We talked through a lot of different things there, but
it's easy when you have the best player in the world in this squadron.
Yeah, I mean, the guy who has the best course history. It's like it feels a little, like, again, mundane, but I just don't know how you can pick against the guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so the top right quadrant. This is groups 2, 15, 7, and 10, a la the John Rahm, Cam Young, Will Zalatoris, and Tony Finau groups. Amazingly enough, this is why I called Rahm's group the group of death. From a DraftKings perspective, the players other than Rahm in his group are the highest priced players as a group than any other group in the tournament. Also, from an odds perspective, even though Rahm is not a co-favorite, but he's right below Scheffler. He and Rory are the same odds. He's basically half as likely to win his pod as Scottie Scheffler. But still, in group 2, I don't know how you advance anybody but Rahm, but I think he's got some serious competition in that group.
I'm calling for an upset. I don't think Rahm's going to get out of this group.
Okay, who do you like in this group?
I like Keith Mitchell. He's been
Killer
Keith, man. He's been playing so freaking good these past couple months that I think he's going to scratch and claw his way out of this group. But honestly, I'll be completely honest with you. I could see any one of these guys winning this group. Horschel's good in match play. Fowler's had a good history in match play. But my pick to win this group is Keith Mitchell. But I would not fault you for wanting to put Jon Rahm through just because he's Jon Rahm and he's probably the best player on the planet Earth.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see anybody but Rahm advancing, but I do think, to your point, and per the numbers, like, he's got a tough go of it. And again, I like for the
are we sure that he's over his stomach flu? His
apparently he is. Again, he crapped out whatever gave him the shits, and now he's good to go. But yeah, so I mean, I in my personal bracket, I would advance Rahm, but for the purposes of the show and you and I putting this together, I'm totally good with advancing Mitchell and taking a flyer here, especially if we think Scottie Scheffler is going to win. I want the easiest path possible for him to win, and that means I need to get Rahm out of there as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think it's tough any given day to go up against Jon Rahm and beat him in a match play event. I don't disagree with that, but we've seen it before. We've seen Rahm lose in Ryder Cup matches before. It's not like we haven't seen it before. So we know he's not impenetrable when it comes to match play. So I think I'm going to call for the upset. I think Keith Mitchell's going to get through here. I think he's playing phenomenal golf, and I think he's going to get the job done. We know that what are the greens here? Are Bermuda or are they?
They are Bermuda.
They're Bermuda, yeah. So yeah, Keith Mitchell on Bermuda. Let's go.
I love it. I love the call. I love the guts. We are advancing Keith Mitchell to the round of 16. The group right below them, group 15, is the Cam Young group. Again, this is another like nutso group where you could have a guy advance out of this group. Corey Connors has had success here recently. Davis Thompson is a huge wild card. Sepp Straka, like whatever version of him shows up, I could see him going 3-0. I could see him going 0-3. For me, I want to advance Cam Young. I just think like he's got a real shot probably of anybody. And
Yep.
again, he could have an easy path. It could be difficult, but I like Cam Young in this group.
Me too. I'm fine with advancing Cam Young. I think the only other guy we could talk about is Corey Connors. Obviously, he made it to the Final Four last year, I
Yep.
think. So we know he has good history here. He played well here last year. But I think he's going to run into a Cam Young buzzsaw this year. I don't know if you heard the news this morning or not, but Cam Young's new caddy is going to be Paul Tesori.
Nice.
Parted ways with Webb Simpson. Webb Simpson and Paul Tesori parted ways today. They made that announcement today, and he's going to be on Cam Young's bag moving forward. Fellow Wake Forest guy. I think I don't think it was like a I don't think he got like fired or anything like that, but I think basically like Webb Simpson's on like the tail end of his career, and he was like, you're going to want to get on somebody Young's bag that's going to be good moving forward. This guy has an opening at the caddy position. You should go talk to him. He's a fellow Wake Forest alumni like me. So I think there was a little bit of like, I'm probably not going to win any more tournaments the rest of my career. Go do your thing with Cam Young. So they parted ways, and now this is going to be the first week with a veteran caddy on his bag, and we've seen it already with people like Scotty Scheffler, who's had Ted Scott on his bag now. We've seen it with other people that have gotten these veteran caddies to direct them on courses that they've had plenty of experience on in the past. So I like that for Cam Young. I think this is a good draw for him. I think he's going to easily advance his bracket. I think he can go 3-0 this week.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I tentatively had Cam Young penciled into the semifinals. When I looked at the bracket, if we're talking about Keith Mitchell beating John Rahm, to me that makes his path to success and getting to the semifinals out of this quadrant.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes it that much easier. So I'm with you there on Young. If we drop down to Group 7, the Will Zalatoris group, this is by the DraftKings pricing numbers the weakest group in the entire tournament. The only other group that is close to this is Terrell Hatton's group, which we'll get to in a second. But by the numbers, Will Zalatoris probably has the weakest path with Harris English and Putnam and Fox, who, is a wily veteran, but we really haven't seen him in this format before. Harris English is playing better. Putnam got in because he had played well through the swing season in the first part of this year, and, he's kind of tailed off. But is there anybody other than Willsy that we could see coming out of this bracket?
No, I can't do any of these other guys. I don't know how Will Zalatoris doesn't advance here. It just if Willsy does not advance in this group right here, that would be a big time upset in my opinion. I just can't see it happening.
Yeah, no, I agree. If so, easy pick. We'll go from there. No reason to talk about anybody else. The only other guy that I thought might have a chance is Harris English, just because he played well in the Ryder Cup. And so, thinking maybe this is a format that suits him. We've seen guys that are kind of plotters who hit fairways and hit greens play well here, but I don't want to go down that road. You and I both like Willsy. Let's move on.
Yep.
Into Group 10, the Finau group. Again, another group that, from my perspective, I love Tony Finau, but to me, this is a wide open bracket. Again, another weak group with the average scoring being DraftKings pricing, being below 7,000. And Finau by the numbers is almost 6 times, basically one percentage point less than Rahm, most likely to win his bracket. Do you pencil Finau in, or do you think this is one of those chaos pods where we advance a Moronk or a Bezadenhout or a Kitayama?
I like Kitayama in this group. I think he's playing really good golf. Obviously, he won the API a few weeks ago. Tony Finau doesn't have the best history at this tournament. I can't recall how many times he's made it out of the group stage, but
I don't think he has made it out of the group stage yet.
Yeah, so
I think he's yet to make it out.
Okay, so I mean that answers my question. I think that streak is going to continue here. I think it's going to come down to Kitayama or Moronk here. I don't think Bezadenhout has ever won a match at this event. I think he's like 0 and something. Like I don't think he's ever won a match. So I don't like Bezadenhout here. He's not even playing that good golf right now. So for me, it's Kitayama this week. I like that, especially at the DraftKings price of 7,600. I think he's going to be a guy that I'm going to play in my lineup. So For me, it's going to be Mitchell, Young, Zalatoris, and Kitayama, and I think we're going to see a battle of the Wake Forest Demon Deacons in the quarterfinals between Wilsey and Cam Young to
Yep,
see who gets into the Final Four.
I agree with you. I think it's Young and Zalatoris out of those four guys. So then the question becomes, who do you advance out of the quarterfinals? Is it Young? Is it Zalatoris?
I'll let you flip the coin.
Yeah, I lean Young. I just do. I think he's hungry. I think he's on the verge. I haven't seen it out of Wilsey yet. I think he's getting better, but to me, I just for some reason I continue to like Cam Young, which is why he's a bet for me this week. I don't think he's going to be able to get maybe not past the semifinals or win, but I love Cam Young a lot this week. So for me, he would be my choice between him and Wilsey.
I'm perfectly fine with that. I had him penciled into the Final Four myself, and I'm glad we're on the same page with that. I really like Cam Young this week. 30-1, I think, is a great bet on him this week.
Yeah.
Or if you can find a bet on him to get out of this quadrant, maybe if there's odds for that.
Yeah, to win his quad.
Yeah, maybe like 10, like to get to the Final Four, maybe 10-1 or something like that. If you can find a number like that, I feel like that's a good bet also. But yeah. Cam Young over Wilsey in the quarterfinals to reach the Final Four.
I love it. Dropping down into the next quadrant. This is the Patrick Cantlay quadrant, the bottom left-hand side. So the winner of this quad will play Scotty Scheffler in the semifinals. And I'll bring that up before we end here so everybody's clear. And I'll also post the bracket for everybody to take a look at once we're all finished. But Cantlay, by the numbers, probably has the easiest pod to win. Of all of them, I think he stands out like a sore thumb with Harmon, Lee, and Taylor. To be honest with you, I can't make an argument for anybody else in Group 4.
Yeah, me too. I think Patrick Cantlay is going to sail to the Elite Eight, to the quarterfinal.
Yep.
I think he's going to blow the doors off all these guys in the group stage, and I think he's going to beat whoever comes out of Group 13. I think he has the easiest path to the Final Four out of anybody in this entire tournament. He's my pick to win this group. I just can't see him not advancing. I'd be really shocked if somebody advanced besides Cantlay in this group.
Yep, totally agree. Dropping down to that next group, this is the most balanced group. So you can see by the number that Sam Burns is only 2 times more likely to win his pod than anybody else in here. So again, of all of the pods, this is the one that is the most balanced. It has the guys that are the most tightly locked together in terms of DraftKings. I think is another one where we can go crazy. I really like Power this week. I like Seamus Power. But I could see any one of these guys advancing. I think a lot of people are going to pick Burns. A lot of people are going to pick Scott. I like Power this week just as a pure like ownership, just fade. Like I like him compared to the other guys here.
Yeah, I don't mind that call. I think I would probably lean a little bit more towards Adam Scott just because of experience and playing this course multiple times and good match play history, good Ryder Cup history for Adam Scott. I think I'd lean towards Adam Scott in this group.
President's Cup, not Ryder's Cup.
Sorry, President's Cup, not Ryder Cup. For some reason, I don't know why I said that. But yeah, but I'm fine advancing Power. I don't think Burns is playing that well. Yeah, he played well last week, but I think it's just Valspar is just a tournament that he plays well at every year. So I think that's you can throw that away. Hadwin, broke a lot of people's heart last week, missing the cut at Valspar. I really liked Hadwin at the Players, and he came through for me. He played really well at the Players, but Hadwin's more of a guy that I like, in Florida and stuff like that. So for me, it comes down to Power or Scott. And if you're leaning Power, I'm fine advancing Power through.
Yeah, I mean, I for some reason, I don't know why. I think Power's going to get it done in this bracket.
Does he have has he played here before? What's his history here?
I don't think so. I don't think he's ever played this event before. This is the first time for him. I think it's the first time for both Scott and Hadwin in a long time. Obviously, Burns has played here before, and I think he's 2-2. But I just from purely trying to get weird and different, no one's going to pick a Power to win this. So I like going against the grain and taking Power here.
All right, I'm good with it.
All right, cool. Dropping down into the next one, my favorite guy before I saw the draw was Max Homa. He was kind of the guy that I'd picked to win. I just think he has the 2 qualities of guys that we've seen win here, which is great putter and elite player. Those are like the two skill sets that kind of rise to the top here, and he possesses both. So I loved him. With that all being said, when I saw the group draw where he had Hideki and Kisner in his group,
Yeah, tough draw.
It totally changed kind of what I thought his odds were. Even though I do have a bet on him, like I'm not super pumped about it, and I could see this going, I could see a case for Kisner or Hideki here. I really could. The only guy that I can't really see winning is Suh. But yeah, I don't know if you've got to lean one way or the other. I would probably lean Homa, but I not super confidently.
Yeah, man, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. After watching Max Homa play phenomenally at the President's Cup a few months ago, he was just so good.
Yep.
He was one of my guys that I was like, man, I really think he has a chance to really win this tournament this week. But then I saw he has Buzzsaw Kevin Kisner in his group, and I was like, ugh, man, that's tough. See, the thing is, okay, so I kind of look at it from a DraftKings perspective. So if I'm going to start my lineups, Cantlay and Scheffler, I'm going to have to stick somebody that is a lower priced guy here. And the lower priced guy that I feel most comfortable with is Kevin Kisner at 7,200. We obviously know what his history is here. He's won here. He's finished runner up here. He's just, when it comes to match play, Kevin Kisner is just really, really, really good for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. He just has another gear when it comes to match play.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a little scary. But I think Homa's going to get through. I think he's gonna slam the door here and get the job done. He's my pick to win this group and get through to the quarterfinals against Cantlay.
Yep, I like him too as well. I'm not super confident in the pick based off the
group. I would not be shocked if Kisner or Hideki won this group.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I think for the purposes of what we're trying to do, I agree with you. I will advance Max Homa to the next round, dropping down to Group 12. Spieth, Lowry, Montgomery, Hughes. Like Spieth is trending right now, but again, you could tell me like Lowry is a pick, and I'd be like, okay. Again, Mac Hughes can go full Mac Hughes and win this quad. Like this is another one where I have very little confidence. But again, from a DraftKings perspective, to your point, like if I'm picking Cantlay to win this entire bracket, this quad, like I can go funky here because I don't expect any of these guys to make it past the next stage. So
yeah, I agree. I kind of like Taylor Montgomery in this group, to be completely honest with you.
I mean, like I said, I'm okay with it. It's hard for me to pick against Spieth because it just feels like he's never out of it. You know what I mean? Like it just feels like Jordan Spieth, he could be down. He could be basically down 3 with 3 to play, and he'll win 3 holes in a row by chipping it in or hitting a 50-foot putt and just make you go insane.
The good thing for Spieth in this format is that he can literally make like a 10 on one hole.
It doesn't hurt him.
It doesn't hurt him. All he does is loses one hole. And he's one of those guys that is so squirrely off. He drove the ball so bad on Sunday. Like there's no reason why Jordan Spieth shouldn't have won last week. Like he should have won that tournament last week if he just hit his driver a little bit better and didn't miss every freaking fairway on Sunday. So I get it. I get the love for Spieth. I think this is a group you can get a little squirrely with. I don't mind the other 3 guys. My pick to win this group is going to be Taylor Montgomery. He's going to come out with a rookie little bang here. But if you want to go with Spieth and have a Spieth Homa matchup, I'm fine with that also.
So let's go with Spieth. I mean, I like the Montgomery take, and I think for DraftKings, it's a good
pick. Yeah,
good way to do it. Like I said, especially if Cantlay is your guy from the quad to advance, like you can pick a guy from down in here. But I'll say for the purposes of the show, because it makes it more entertaining, all on my speech about Notre Dame and Jordan Spieth, let's say Spieth advances. So we've got.
But I think we both agree that Homa is going to advance past that, right?
I would say I would take Max Homa in that lineup, absolutely. Okay. So Cantlay advances over Power, and Homa advances over Spieth. I think that would be a great for TV match. And I hope they never cut away from a shot if that's what it is. If it's Homa Spieth, they better have every course or camera on that course watching that group the entire time.
I agree. All right, so we have Cantlay versus Homa in the quarterfinal. Who are we putting through to the Final Four?
Dude, I love Max Homa. I want so bad for him to play Scheffler in the fourth.
I can't root for Patrick Cantlay. He's so
I
boring.
can't either. All right, Homa it is. Homa to the
Look at
semifinal.
Look at that picture of him, man. He just looks like how do you root for this guy? He's so boring.
He's a dick. I can't have Cantlay Scheffler watching Vanilla Ice Cream take on eggshell paint. Like, I can't do it.
Oh man, I know Goldman Sachs is a sponsor, but who puts Goldman Sachs right in the middle of his hat? Like, it's so I don't like it. I can't stand it.
No, I agree. Okay,
so we got Scheffler, Homa, and Cam Young. All right, I like it.
All right, the last quad. We're moving through this pretty good, which is better than I thought, because I think we agree on a lot of stuff. So that's good.
Yeah.
So by the numbers, Rory has the easiest path to advance from his pod than anybody else. But again, you've got, light Jordan Spieth, Denny McCarthy. Keegan Bradley's been terrible at this event, and Scott Stallings, I don't know how he got in here. So is there a case for Denny McCarthy to beat Rory McIlroy?
Yes. Denny McCarthy can make every single putt against him, but McCarthy actually putted really bad last week. He lost strokes putting last week.
Yeah, it's one of the few times he has lost strokes putting versus the field.
Yeah. It's Rory. I think he's a class above anybody else in this group. I think Rory's going to he may not go 3-0, but he's going to get the job done and scratch out a group win here.
Yep. No, I agree with you. Dropping down to group 14, the sexiest pick of all. Everybody's on it. Terrell Hatton, 25, 30 to 1.
Chalk.
Yeah. I mean, again, I get it. Because everybody else in this group is dog shit by the numbers on the DraftKings pricing. Like, it's the weakest group, and he's 4 times more likely to advance. Other than Rory, like, he's the highest in this quad. It feels like Hatton worth a bullet to me in this group.
Yeah. Everyone knows that I'm a huge Ben Griffin fan. I've never seen him play match play before, so I don't know. But dude has to be tired, right? Like,
I think he's played like 19 straight events, and the one I think that he took off, he got married, right?
Something like that. I don't know, maybe, but he's played like every week this year, and he's got to be tired. He's not in the Masters, right? No, I don't think he's in the Masters.
I don't know, but I don't think so. I don't think he's qualified yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Hatton. I would like to see a battle of Rory Hatton in the next.
Great for TV.
Yep, great for TV. Yeah, so I'm good with that. Hatton, Rory, pretty easy for me there.
Got it. The next one, Xander Schauffele's group. The interesting thing is Xander really hasn't done great. I don't think he's ever advanced out of the pod stage, so he's never gotten out of his group. So again, when we talk about odd, wacky things that can happen, this is a place to get wacky. If we think it's McIlroy or Hatton that ends up winning this quad, you can kind of go sideways here. I could see a case for Hoagie. He's playing pretty well. Didn't he just win? Yeah, he just won here recently. Like, I don't know. Like, if I was to go crazy here, I could see Hoagie. The other guy that I'm curious to see is Cam Davis.
Yeah, that's my guy, Cam Davis.
Yeah, I could see an argument for Cam Davis winning this. He's 130 to 1, but again, Xander, just this format, it's not his deal, and he just hasn't done well. He may not like this course. So if I'm going to go crazy, this is a pod to do it.
What does match play remind you? It reminds you of Showdown, right? So if you're going to play Showdown, Cam Davis is like a staple in my lineups in Showdown, because the guy can literally go birdie, 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 quad, birdie, 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 quad. So I'm picking Cam Davis to win this group, man. I pulled the upset and advance on.
I like it. Again, for the purpose of the show, I think it's great. Like I said, I don't really have a take. Hoagie was kind of my lean, but I mean, could Cam Davis beat Hoagie? Absolutely. So let's advance Cam Davis out of group 6. And then the final group, which is probably the most balanced from top to bottom, but is also pretty garbage, is the Fitzpatrick group. Fitz just hasn't been that guy. He's played well in this event previously, but he just, I don't know, man. He doesn't look like he's back to normal. You've got Min Woo, who's everybody's favorite. And you've got 2 guys, in my opinion, that are absolute dogs and fighters in Sahith Theegala and JJ Spawn. I think this could go any direction. I would love to see, my heart is rooting for Sahith Theegala to advance, but I could see a case for any of these guys. Min Woo may be the most talented, obviously, other than Fitz. Fitz has won the U.S. Open. He's obviously the best golfer in this bracket. But right now, Minwoo might be playing the best of all of these guys. But I don't know, dude. I like I said, I don't have a lean. I would go any way in this group.
Matt Fitzpatrick is dead to me after what he did to me last week. He was in every single one of my lineups. He made a 9 on Thursday, and that sunk his tournament. And he just couldn't make a birdie down the stretch to make the cut. So screw him. I'm absolutely done with him. To me, it's either Tagala or Minwoo. I don't think Spawn really. I understand what you're saying, that he's a dog and he likes to fight, but he's been playing really, really bad recently.
He has been pretty shitty.
He's been pretty dog shit recently. So I'll let you pick out of those two. I'm fine with Tagala. It's my Indian boy. We can advance him on to face Cam Davis in the next round, which is, I think that's a fun matchup. If that's what it is, Cam Davis versus Tagala, I think that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, Davis Tagala, Davis Minwoo Lee. You've got New Zealand versus Australia. I mean, there's another great narrative. Let's do this. Let's do Minwoo, because I think Minwoo's going to be popular.
Okay.
I totally love the Tagala pick, but let's do Minwoo Lee. So now we've got McIlroy and Hatton, which is just an absolute fist fight, and Davis and Lee in the bottom one. So let's do Davis Lee first. So Group 11, Group 6. Who do you think wins out of Davis and Lee?
I think Minwoo. I think he's been playing really good recently. Obviously, we saw him almost take down Scheffler at the Players a couple weeks ago. So I think this is a good setup for him. We've seen him, play well on tracks similar to this before. So I like Minwoo to get through until the Elite Eight.
All right, so then here's the real question: Hatton or McIlroy in the group stage?
I can tell you who everyone's picking to win that match.
Everyone's picking Hatton. Everyone's picking Hatton.
But I mean, have we forgotten who Rory McIlroy is? He's one of the best players on planet Earth. So
again, when you look at his pod and how he's ranked, and in his quadrant, the numbers say Rory McIlroy should win this quad, hands down. Other than Scheffler, he is by far the biggest favorite by the numbers.
So do we go with the public and go with Hatton, or do we go for the upset and go with Rory?
I mean, again, if you're going to give me the upset narrative, I'll take Rory. Like I like Rory. And I think he gets it done because everybody's off of him finally. And that's usually when he doubles down and wins.
Yep. Why would you pick Hatton ever? I'm good with that. I think Rory will beat Hatton, and I think he'll advance to the Final Four. He'll beat Minwoo and get to the Final Four.
I love it. So our Final Four that we have going into the last day is Scheffler Homa, great matchup, and Cam Young and Rory McIlroy.
That would be a really sick Final Four. If we predict that as a Final Four, and that's what it actually is, that'd be really sick.
I mean, that again, you've got two favorites and two guys. Again, they're number one seeds in each one of their pods, but all of these guys are. But again, McIlroy versus Cam Young, Scotty Scheffler versus Homa. Let's go Young and McIlroy first. Can Cam Young pull off the upset against Rory McIlroy? That's the question.
I think he can. I think he can go toe-to-toe with him and beat him. It'll be close. I think a one-up win or maybe a playoff win or something like that. But I'm going to call that upset. I'm going to say Cam Young into the final over Rory McIlroy.
Cam Young in the final over Rory McIlroy. All right, so I'm going to share my screen here, which has this little file that I've been keeping running. Can you see it here, Rick?
Yep, can see it.
Okay, so we've got Cam Young advancing over Rory McIlroy, and then I'm guessing because you and I both picked Scheffler over Homa, as much as I want Max Homa to win, I feel like we got to advance Scheffler.
Yep.
All right, so Scotty goes in over Max Homa in probably the most competitive and fun match to watch in terms of just parity. So now we've got Scheffler versus Young in the final, and I'm guessing you're picking Scotty Scheffler to win it all.
Yep. He's going to get the job done again. Best player in the world.
And it's, again, I guess if we're doing this, and I'll zoom back out so everybody can kind of see our brackets and how we picked everyone to come in here. You can see, I mean, Scheffler really probably has the best path. He's also got to go through Morikawa and Homa by our numbers to get there. And again, if he ends up getting McIlroy or Young in the final, like, I think that could be electric. But I I can't see anybody but Scotty Scheffler winning this thing. So
who you got in the Homa McIlroy third place matchup?
I will be taking Max Homa in the third place matchup. I am so high on Max Homa. Like, I mean, you know this. I already have picked him to win the US Open, which is why I haven't burned him in our one and done. Like, I think that dude is on the verge of being the guy. Like, he is right there. And I just think he's going to come close. And if he beats Scheffler, again, the way that we have it projected, if he ends up beating Scheffler in the semifinals, I would not be surprised.
Nope, I would not either. It reminds me of last year. It was the funniest thing in the world was when Corey Connors played DJ in the third place match, and DJ just did not give a F. Like he just
just gas canned. He's like, whatever. He's like, I'm here because I have to be here.
Yeah, Corey Connors was like, yeah, third place.
Yeah. So again, I mean, we see these weird things all the time happen, but I am praying for Max Homa versus Scotty Scheffler in the Final Four. That would be
pretty sweet. Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
So I guess from a one and done perspective, we've talked about DFS, we've talked about bets, but your card, have you put anything together this week yet? I know, we've got some one and done selections, but have you leaned anywhere on the bets? Like I told you, I bet Homa to win. I bet Cam Young to win, which is, I guess, why we have both guys advancing. But is there anybody else that you'd be interested in betting while we're talking about that?
No, I haven't really bet anyone yet. I know it's not the way to do it, but I'm actually considering just betting Scotty Scheffler, and that's it.
I mean, I get it. Like, it makes all the sense in the world. We're both picking him for one and done this week, but if
I really truly do think that he is the cream of the crop and he's going to win this tournament, there's just no reason for me to bet anyone else. And at that point, if I have one bet and it's 8-1 or 9-1 or whatever the number is, that's pretty good value, I think.
Yeah, no, again, if we were relating this to like the NFL, like, if you had a 7-1 in any NFL bet, you'd be like, oh my God, if this cashes, it's unbelievable. So
yeah,
I get it. No, it makes total sense.
The fun thing about golf though is you like betting all these different guys, so you have like multiple like sweats going through the weekend. So I get it. Like if you're going to bet, more than one person, you can't bet Scotty Scheffler. You can bet Cam Young. You can bet Max Homa, Morikawa, like all these other guys. But if you're just going to bet one person, I think the one guy to bet, if you want to try to win 8-1 on your money, Scotty Scheffler's a bet. I'm not going to do that. I don't think I ever have done that in my entire life. But I'll put the betting card out on Discord on Wednesday.
Yep, absolutely. No, I can't argue with it. So we kind of danced around it a little bit, but our one and done, Chris, dude, like he won in picking the players, right? I think that's where he made his big move, was he hit the players winner. Yep. I mean, it's again, you just can't argue with how well Scheffler's playing. It feels so much like last year when he won the Masters and he just rattled off all those wins. It feels like he's on the same trajectory. You and I are both making him the selections for one and done this week. Who else does everybody have this week, Rick?
Chris has Tony Finau. Interesting pick for him. I did pick up a little ground on Chris last week. He had Adam Hadwin, a missed cut, and I had Tommy Fleetwood. So I picked up a little bit of ground on him. But this week is obviously an elevated event, so 3-point-something million to first. So we could flip-flop there. So I have Scheffler. Chris has Tony Finau. You have Scheffler. Mike has Tommy Fleetwood. And Jake has Rory McIlroy.
I like the Rory pick. I feel like Rory I think Rory is flying a little under the radar. And again, this is an event he's also won before. I mean, again, what hasn't he won? But I think Rory is I don't know how much of a dark horse you can be at 11, 12-1, but again, by the math, by looking at the numbers, he has the easiest path to get to the Final Four and to victory, especially if he's not facing Jon Rahm in the semifinals.
I agree.
So, it makes all the sense in the world, and I think it's a very, very smart pick by Jake. So, Jake, that's the last time I ever give you a compliment.
All right, man. Fun week. Remember, lineups are due on Wednesday this week. Tournament starts on Wednesday. Don't build dead lineups out there. Build the lineups correctly. If you have any questions about how to strategize about building your lineups, feel free to DM me or DM Tony or tweet at us. We will answer any questions for you. If building lineups is confusing at all, just feel free to message us. We'll tell you what to do and what not to do. But yeah, fun week. let's go win some money.
Yeah, for sure. And, to your point, like I remind everybody every week, join the Discord. The link's down in the description. Best way to keep the conversation going. Of all the Discord boards that we're part of, this is the most lively. We're all constantly on there providing updates. Rick, you give your weekly write-up on Wednesday, which gives great insight to weather and kind of what's happening and trending and all of the information before we go. That'll obviously come out tomorrow because the tournament starts on Wednesday.
Right.
But it's a great way to keep tabs on what's happening and to communicate with us and keep the conversation going. But yeah, I guess good luck to everybody out there this week. Good luck to me and you, Rick, with Scotty Scheffler and our one and done. You'll post your bets, I'll post mine, and it'll be a great week, man. I love match play. I'm bummed out it's not going to be next year. They've decided to pass on it, whether that's forever or just a year. I don't know.
That really sucks. I wouldn't mind if they changed the venue, but yeah, just eliminating it in general, it really does suck.
Yeah, I mean, I think of all of the events that are out there, like, they have these group events where, like, we saw Xander and Cantlay win, and, the Euro Tour has the events where they're playing men and women or seniors and women or guys with their sons. Like, match play is the best of all of that. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Again, it is the purest form of golf. There's a reason why, like, when you go head to head with somebody, like, it just changes all the dynamics.
Yeah, and we're already in such a bracket mode already with the NCAA tournament, like filling out brackets for college basketball, that it just adds to it. I'm just like, yeah, my brackets are dead in NCAA tournament. Who wants to do a who wants to do a golf tournament pool, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just adds the excitement. So that's gonna suck that it's not gonna be around next year, but hopefully we can bring them back in 2 years.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's we're getting into the season, man. Masters is just around the corner. I did want to ask you this before we go, and I know we're already over an hour, so whatever. But the Masters is right around the corner, and we are getting ready to introduce all of these live guys back into the bloodstream for this event. At the beginning of the season, I'd been pretty open with you. Like, I felt like Dustin Johnson and Cam Smith were live. Like, Cam Smith has kind of been my pick for the Masters all year. I'm starting to lose a little bit of steam on that as things have kind of, I don't know, they progressed, because neither of those guys are playing very good on live right now. And they've got one more tournament before the Masters.
I was just about to say that, man. I looked at the leaderboard, the final leaderboard yesterday, and Cam Smith was like 40th or something in a field of terrible, like playing bad. But I was planning on using him as my one and done at the Masters, but I might have to change that pick. I don't know, but he's just so phenomenal at that course that it's you got to think that he's gonna be ready to play Augusta in a couple weeks. You just have to assume that, but we'll see. We have a couple weeks to figure that out. Do they have another event? Does Liv have another event before?
Yeah, they have one more event in Orlando the week, I think, before the Masters. So it'll be interesting. I obviously don't want him to win or even play well in that event, because I'm planning on betting him. Right now his odds are terrible, but I hope he comes in 40th again and he opens up like 28-1 to win the Masters, and I will absolutely hammer that.
I would hammer that.
Yeah. And even Dustin, like, Dustin's won there. His track record's great. Like, we've seen it time in and time out at Augusta. The guys just show up and play well there. So, it's interesting. I can't believe we're already talking about the Masters. I can't believe it's already around the corner. But we've got this event. We didn't even mention it, but we also have the Punta Cana happening the same time this week. Yeah. We should probably at least throw out who we like. Like, by the numbers, when I did my model, not Ben Griffin, not Ben Taylor, Ben Martin.
That's my boy this
as the best player. Him and Bhatia, ball striking, strokes gained, like, they're the best guys in the field.
Yeah.
The other guy that I really like, who I think is trending, is Wyndham Clark, and he's a popular pick. He's obviously the odds-on favorite to win the event. Yep. But who do you like in Punta Cana this week?
I like Ben Martin. We do one and done as our for our alternate tournaments. I picked Ben Martin for this week. You picked Wyndham Clark. Mike picked who did Mike pick? He just texted it to me.
I don't even know. This is how much I'm paying attention to Punta Cana.
Mike picked Taylor Pendrith. Jake also picked Taylor Pendrith. And Chris picked Joel Damon. So there are some names in this field that we could go with. I like Thomas Dietrich. I like Ben Martin. I think the number on Johnny Vegas is disrespectful. 35-1
Yeah.
for Johnny Vegas in that field is bad number. I think he should be up there with Dietrich and Wyndham Clark. So I'll definitely spend some money on Johnny Vegas this week. But I think it's actually a pretty decent field, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, versus what we typically see at Punta Cana. Usually it's trash. It's like right there with Puerto Rico. But you mentioned it. You've got Detry, you've got Wyndham Clark. You've got Shank, who almost won last week.
He withdrew. He withdrew.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah,
You've got, I think Gerard's in it as well, who's kind of the hot name, like Ryan Gerard trying to get his card. He's in it as well. Damon's there. Matt Wallace, who played well, I think, is in the field. So, yeah,
I'll give you
names.
I'll give you guys a bet out there. If you wanna 300-1 your money this week, Martin Trainer 300-1. Bet it.
I know he always plays well here, dude. Trainer always.
He's such a good putter on Pass Fallon. It's unbelievable. So.
He's by far the best. Yeah, it's like again, he just shows up like every single time.
He's won the event before, so
yeah.
Martin Trainer this week. I got him. I saw 300-1 on him. That's a nice little $10 bet for you guys out there.
What about your boy Grillo? Before we go, no Grillo.
No. He's so bad. He's unreally bad.
I know.
Like he just literally has been playing. His putting is just on another world level bad this week.
I know. It is what it is.
He's not my boy anymore. I'm done with him. Get him out of here.
All right, that's enough. We're over an hour. A bunch of you guys hung out the entire time. Appreciate all of you. Remember to follow Rick and I on Twitter. Our handles are listed below. We post all of our stuff there. Join the Discord. And, of course, leave a comment. Drop a subscribe. Drop a nickel on the subscribe, as Mike always says. It helps us go a long way to keeping the content free. We love the Discord. We love to chat. So thank you guys very much. And good luck this week, Rick, to you and to everybody out there.
All right.
Take it easy, brother.
See ya.